All right, welcome to our final video for Chapter 9 on receiving, storing, and issuing control. This one we're going to talk about inventory turnover and what is that. So what is inventory turnover? Inventory turnover is a calculation that we use to see if we're using our inventory efficiently. We don't have too much inventory and we don't have too little inventory, okay? So we have a formula for that, and that's our average. We need a couple of things figured out. First one is, what is our average inventory? And from that, we're going to take our opening inventory value and our closing inventory value and divide by 2. These are the opening inventory values in dollars, not in units, okay? So opening inventory value plus our closing inventory value divided by 2. Then our inventory turnover is going to take our cost of food sold divided by our average inventory. So our cost of food sold is what we figured out back when we were figuring out what our food cost was, right? Our food cost $1. So our opening inventory plus our purchases minus our closing inventory, then all our transfers in, out, those sorts of things, and all our credits, right? So we calculate inventory turnover rate as ideal if it is every 1 to 2 weeks. So we're turning over the value of our inventory. Now, inventory turnover rate is not going to tell us how many times we turned over the cases of tomatoes in our inventory, but it will give us a ballpark figure of how to turn over all of our value of our inventory, right? Are we using those dollars efficiently, right? So to convert monthly inventory into a turnover rate in days, we would take the days to turn over the inventory divided, or to figure out the days to turn over inventory, we're going to take the number of days in the month and divide that by our inventory turnover value number that we're going to figure out. So, make this a little clearer, I've got an example coming up. So, in January, the cost of food sold in the restaurant is $37,500. Our opening inventory for January is $12,300, and closing inventory is $12,900. How often in number of days does the restaurant turn over its inventory? Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to figure out is our average inventory. So our average inventory is our opening inventory plus our closing inventory divided by 2. So in this case, we had an opening inventory of $12,300 and a closing inventory of $12,900. Divide that by 2. So our average inventory is going to work out to $12,600. Okay. Now, in order to calculate our turnover rate, we're going to take our cost of food sold and divide that by our average inventory. So our cost of food was $37,500 divided by our 12,600. I'm missing a zero there. 12,600 to give us a inventory turnover rate of 2.98. Now this number on its own is sort of arbitrary, right? What we want to do is apply that to the month of January. So how many days are in the month of January? 31, right? So we're going to take the days are going to equal 31 days in January divided by our turnover rate of 2.98, which is going to give us a calculation of 10.4 days. So if you remember right, our ideal turnover rate was somewhere between 1 to 2 weeks. So 10.4 days, that works out perfectly, right? So this tells me that we're using our inventory efficiently, right? Yes, some items in our inventory are not going to turn over every 10.4 days, and others may be turning over every 3 to 4 days, right? But on an average, the dollar amount that we have in our inventory, that banked money that we can't use unless we turn that food into something, we're turning it over every 10.4 days, which is good. So why do we want a quick turnover? Well, we want to help control theft as stolen items are noticed quickly. If we do not have excess inventory and we only have the product that we need to do our business, if something goes missing, we're going to notice it right away, right? It's going to help us not have as much money tied up in that inventory. If our inventory is $50,000, we can't use that $50,000 unless we do something with the food, right? So if we have an extra $25,000 sitting there, we can't use it to pay our rent, pay labor, pay any of our other costs, or maybe even have some profit, right? If we have quick inventory also, it's going to reduce the chance of spoilage with our perishable ingredients, right? The faster we turn over those perishable ingredients, the fresher they're going to be. And the last thing is it's going to reduce the space needed to house our inventory, right? So all of these things are benefits of quick turnover. But again, I want to stress that doing an inventory turnover calculation doesn't tell us how fast we turn over individual items. It's the value, the dollar amount, and how efficiently we're using that money in our inventory. All right, so this concludes the last video in this chapter on the receiving area. We've covered the receiving and issuing area. We've covered the 4 different methods of calculation for inventory valuation, as well as our inventory turnover. Next section, we'll be moving on to employee labor.